The infinite video. I hope this one's not infinite. This one, I ended up calling it Game Counter. It was going to be high score. And I think I told you my little excuse sob story, which was, I don't know what a high score is. And when I tested it with values like, well, you got it in 4 guesses, so that's the high score. No, now you got it in 3 guesses. It's hard to test it because it doesn't change very often. And that was the problem. Let me see. This is my bare bones version initially. Is the video rolling? Yeah, there's the off button up there. They should have a flashing red dot in the corner or something so you know. Hey, that's a tiny little simulator, but maybe that will work. One moment, please. We ask that you bear with us. Now, part of the reason I'm running it is to refresh my own memory of where does it go? If you're going to put something like, well, this is the game you're playing, the game number, then ideally it would fit nice. We haven't done a lot of discussion on aesthetics or anything, but it should fit in nicely with what's already on the screen. You can tell that I did spend at least a small amount of time trying to figure out the balance and so forth, and that's actually why I trimmed it down from 10 rows. I mean, I can claim it's to make it advanced mode where you have to get it in fewer guesses, but the real reason was to make it fill up the iPad screen a little better and not be just a really skinny column down the middle. So I don't want to mess up my aesthetics. I think I can squeeze in some fine print right here, and I think that's actually what I end up doing, between the bottom row and choose a color that says which game we're playing. So that's goal number 1, is just to get something on the screen that looks reasonable. And what did I do? What did I do? I went to the content view. And that's where we are. And the content view around what? I want to get down here. Here's the H stack. Yes, I know this needs to be split into functions and separate structures and so forth. And I don't even know where I'm supposed to be. I think I'm supposed to be here. I can't read my own printouts. I've got a text for game in progress right after can't submit from row. I think I'm in the right place. Right here. Switch VM game state. Now I had we didn't talk much about enums, but I've got an enum called something along the lines of, well, these are the different possible states a game could be in. And you list it with cases. If you've done a switch statement in C++, then this probably looks familiar to you. But enums and switch statements apparently go hand in hand the way arrays and for loops do in C++. So I've got an enum that its only possible values are playing, the game is still going on, lost, oh no, you lost, and won, you won, and those are the only possibilities. So while the game's still going on, above the text that says choose a color, I'm going to squeeze in another text here just to see what it looks like. Text. And it's going to say game in progress. Which game are we playing? And of course I have no idea. Guess a row. You don't guess a row. AI, you are dumb. I don't have a value yet. I don't even have a variable. So 0 out of 5. No, just 0. Game in progress, 0. And that's just to see where it shows up on the screen. Run, run, run. Run like the wind. Oh, and talk about small. Do we know how to make this bigger? Here? Thank you. Even with that is tiny. Maybe you can read it, I can't. Game in progress 0, but at least we know where it shows up on the screen. So now I wanted to make it bigger so I could see it. Caps lock? I don't think so. Font. And here I do system size medium font. I want something smaller than that. So I'm going to do it dot system, not size medium font. I want it to be small so that it's not as big as the other stuff. What's wrong with that? Won't that be great? Cannot find small font in scope. And I thought, well, it's time to go to the Google and ask the Google, how do you do small font? SwiftUI small font. Does anybody know what my problem is? Well, what an open-ended question. SwiftUI small font, do you specifically know what this problem is? Yes. You know, where were you when I was trying to figure out why this didn't work? And I looked at all this stuff, footnote, caption, and I think I tried some of those, and I didn't like them, so I didn't like the way those worked. And I thought, well, why does it know what medium font is, but it doesn't know what small font is? And the answer is what, Mr. Nagel?
You made symbolic font.
All of the yelled capital letter constants are my own doing. They're my own homemade. Did I even print this out? I don't even know if I glorified it by printing it out. I did, but I can't read it. Small font, I think that's 30. We'll see. Let's jump over to the symbolic constants. There they are. I've got medium, big, huge, let, small font. We'll try 10. CG float is a legacy that'll probably eventually be phased out. Now you know what small font is. Where's the back arrow? Everything's so tiny. Now you know what it is. Let's see. Build succeeded. That's even worse, isn't it? Back to the drawing board. That's what happens when I don't wear my reading glasses. I can't tell what I'm typing. 30? Is that smaller than everything else? Okay. This is the trial and error phase of our show. There, hey, now, who agrees that looks good and we can move on? Okay, thank you. Game in progress is 0, and we choose a color, and none of that's broken, thank goodness. What's not working is that doesn't change no matter what. I do have a game reset, so if I reset the game, it still says game in progress is 0. Mental note, 0 might not be the best initial value for that. I mean, the first game is probably game 1, but we could solve that problem when we get more advanced. Speaking of getting more advanced, what's the next thing I need to do? Next thing I need to do is, I've done that, and I've done the symbolic constant. You can go away. My script says, SwiftUI counter to see about an odometer. I thought that would be so cool. Let's have an odometer style third party. Well, I didn't search for third party, but that's what it gave me. So here was a wild goose chase that didn't pan out. I'll show you the good with the bad. SwiftUI, and what did I search for? Counter, just plain old counter. And I didn't yell it, but I will now. Oh, what I found out, that you can set up counters and so forth, but it doesn't really say much about the view. So I wanted one that looked kind of like an odometer. We're about to stop this wild goose chase here. Using animations to flip, and I thought that looked all cool and everything, except it's not built in. That was my takeaway from this. The conceptual code example and so forth. The bottom line, if you read this, if you decide, well, that would be cool to have an odometer style counter or high score or whatever, it can be done, but you might have to download third-party software. That's the wall that I ran into, and I decided it wasn't worth the trouble, so I backed out, and I'm not going to do a counter that way. I'll just let it display as a number. In other words, I gave up. Sometimes the battles are not worth fighting. So, moving on after that, What did I do next? The next thing I did was, I think we're ready for another Google search. I can't even read the numbers on my next things. Oh, yeah, that's what I did. The Swift UI, I happen to know a term to search for. It might not be the best one, but data persistence. Data persistence just means that your data holds from one run of the program to the next. And that's really the underlying concept that needs to be explored. And turns out there's all kinds of ways to do it. SwiftUI data persistence can be achieved using several methods provided by Apple. Well, that's wonderful. I only want one. The choice depending on the type and complexity. This caught my eye. The choice depending on the type and complexity of the data. So there's all kinds of stuff, legacy and modern. The more modern app storage is actually the simplest one. So you could read through all these use cases and all the stuff, and look at this. I like this. Simple key value storage for small data like user preferences or settings. Bingo. That sounds like that would be really good. So I can scroll further down, and it gives more elaboration on each of these. App storage, and somewhere I found a link where I could click on app storage. But after I decided to try to go with that, I just changed my search. It was all one word, I think. App storage. Automatic UI updates. It feels kind of like what I had to do with the confetti cannon and also with animation, where you can have a variable that's almost unrelated to what you're trying to do. And the system monitors that for any change. And if it changes, then it feels like, oh, I need to do something. I need to make the confetti blow up, or whatever it may be. I need to make the animation jiggle the dots. That seems a little disjoint to me, but still, it's their game, so we got to play by their rules. Simple syntax. I always like to see simple syntax, even though this doesn't look so simple. Inside the content view, you add a variable, and I figured out through reading, you can do the reading here. This is a key value pair, believe it or not. The key is what you specify as a string here. And it looks like the convention is to just make it the same thing as the variable, for crying out loud. I don't remember a compelling case why it has to be a private variable. I even think I ran into some problems with private during my trial and error experimentation. But this is basically, if I copy this, might be easier just to type it. Command C for copy, and put that at the top of my content view. I've already got these more or less randomly chosen variables to use here. Command V puts it in place. I don't want his dark mode. I want, what did I put up there? Game counter. Private variable, game counter. Int equals 0. There. So now I have something that's going to be app storage, and the description said it will save that for you. And it stays saved, and it does not reinitialize it every time you run the app. That's important. It's not going to reset it to 0 every time. If you saved it in app storage, then it brings in whatever value it was the last time you ran the app. So that's how it's going to keep up with how many games we've played. So now I need to replace my hard-coded 0 with this variable, even though I'm not doing anything to change it yet, just to make sure that I can get this part to work. So instead of 0 here, I want to print out game in progress. Where did I print it out? It doesn't look like I did. Game in progress, I'll just stuff it in there and see what happens. Game counter. How you like that?
Capitalize an extra O.
Well, it didn't come up with an error. We'll see if that'll run. Actually, yeah, we'll see if that'll run as it is. Build succeeded. Always a good sign. Now, I'm going to continue to believe well, not continue, but start to believe that 0 is now actually the value of my variable that is going to be saved to app storage and will be saved and brought back without being reinitialized to 0. But it doesn't change anywhere. So then we have to decide how to make it change in the right place, accepting nominations.
Finish a game.
What would you reset it, right? Is it keep track of how many wins in a row or how many games?
I'm sorry?
Is keeping track of how many wins in a row or how many games in a row?
How many games you played. It doesn't matter how many you've won or lost. It's strictly how many games you've played. And this is similar to the search I did. I don't think it's exactly the same search. But when the view is brought in from everything else brought in from storage, when the view for the game is brought in, that means you're about to start playing a new game. Does that make logical sense? So if I can, when the view loads, in SwiftUI, the equivalent to UIKit's view did load. I remembered this when I saw it. View did load is what we did it last time. That's the old, obsolete way to do it. And there's now a new one, onAppear, which is a view modifier. So that sounds good. OnAppear, we say view appeared, except I want to do, when my counter appears, I want to increment the counter. That's the plan. So my text, I'm going to leave that there because I have a feeling I might have to come back to it. Here it is. There's the font. I'm going to do a dot on appear. And on appear, I'm not going to call anything. I'm just going to do it right here. Game counter plus equals 1. Could that be it? Could that be all there is to it? I don't even, it just swept by. Well, look, game in progress 1. Only 1? This game is wearing me out. I don't want to play it anymore. I'm lost. No. Xcode, where are you? There you are. Halt. Now, all of that was just so I could run it again. Look what I can do. Look what I can do. Game in progress 2. And what else we got? Stop it again. Game in progress 2. Stop. Go. Game in progress 3. That was weird. Didn't I stop game 2 and then start it again, or did I not? Maybe I didn't. Let me try it again. Does everybody see that this is game in progress 3? Help me remember from one run to the next. Now I'm going to stop the game. Now I'm going to run it. Game in progress 4. So it is keeping up with the game. Now, of course, there's always problems, yes.
What happens when you use your
It stays 4. So it is only incrementing the game if you stop the app and then start it again.
It's a rage quit counter, basically.
I'm sorry?
Rage quit counter.
A rage quit counter? Yeah, a mastermind rage counter. So, back to the drawing board. How can we do something about that? Ms. Perry, you're the one started it. Here's my reset button. Combo title and new game button on the top row. I print out a debug message, start a new game, and call my view model. View model is responsible for starting the new game the way I set it up. And the animation count, while we're doing the animation count, let's bump up the game counter. We're up to game 5. I don't know. That's a pretty good start. Maybe I'll win. That's a reset as well. I'm not going to win that way. Whoops. Now it's getting complicated. I wanted an easy game. So I'll reset. Mental note, game in progress is 5. Game in progress is 6. Let's try that again. I didn't get any right. None. Wow. This might be it. I've never played a game where all the beads were the same. It's not going to be this one. Reset. Hit click mastermind. Keep an eye on games in progress. Game in progress. Look what it did. Ta-dun, ta-dun. Okay. Well, that was easy. Now, there's still a couple of other things, actually, in my ridiculously marked up and tangled code. The reason I was struggling up here is because I made changes sort of organically. They're not done in order. And these numbers go from one page to the next and then come back and everything, and that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. I am going to do, we're out of time, but I am going to do a very brief follow-up video. I bet it's no more than 5 minutes, but here's what it does not do. At the moment, it does not allow you to reset game in progress back to 0. There's no way to do that. Not even through the app, not nothing. So I thought, well, that might be handy if someone doesn't want to remember the history of how many games they played. So I made it so you can, of course, on tap gesture, click on game in progress, and it resets it to 0. Here's what I found out, and this will be in the 5-minute video. It's very easy to accidentally tap that and set it to 0 when you didn't mean to. So another feature that I did research on, research in air quotes because it was just one quick Google lookup, there's a double tap. You can make it so that it only responds to double tap. And a cool thing about it, I figured out by trial and error, the double tap has to be very close in time-wise proximity. In other words, if I tap it once and then go away and come back and tap it, that does not count as a double tap. So what's to look forward to in the 5-minute follow-up video, I'm going to see if I can hold myself to 5 minutes, is the double tap the game in progress to reset it to 0. And that's it. That'll be all of this demo unless anybody has a question that they want me include in the follow-up video. That's it. Everybody's ready to go home and take their nap now. Well, thank you for your attention to this matter. And